Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of SubculturedTV. My name's Tyler.
My name's Jess.
I'm Chris.
All right, let's get into it. So, we were all tasked this week to come back with two, what we're going to call tinfoil topics. These are just conspiracy theories or any theory that really might either give an explanation as to why something works or just something that hasn't been proven yet in the anime. I'll go first. This one is a little bit of a stretch. It has to do with Ichiraku Ramen shop guy. It's not the conspiracy theory that he has the Rinne Sharingan or the Rinnegan. That's not the one I'm talking about. What this one is it's a little bit weird. Now, I heard this the other day, and I kind of need you guys to hold on for a second before you ask any questions. But it's that he was actually one of Jiraiya's pupils and also a teammate of Minato. So if you actually go back and look at the pupil picture that Jiraiya had, we had young Minato. We had another female shinobi, which, by the way, people are saying that it might actually be Sasuke's mom, just because the time actually does kind of make sense. But the other one is you actually see this kid who has the same bald hairstyle and the same closed eyes as the Ichiraku ramen shop guy. Now, what makes this theory even better is if you actually go back in time and actually look at the Naruto series, the Ichiraku ramen shop guy is the only person that is pretty consistently there and nice to Naruto, despite the fact that, this village was rampaged by the Nine-Tailed Fox, and everyone did have a very valid reason to be afraid of Naruto. So, do you guys have any questions? Before I keep going, or
I mean, it would make sense for him. Well, assuming that he was part of Minato's team, right? You would assume he'd be at least decently powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for him not to be afraid, he either has. I mean, I actually do like the theory that he has a Sharingan and was one of the only people, right? I just want to throw that out there, which is why his eyes are always closed.
Closed or just thin?
Oh,
You're really walking a very closed line right
closed.
now. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with closed, because if his Sharingans are always on, he's always using chakra, right? So if he was part of Minato's team, especially back then, it would have made sense, right? Because the Uchihas were a very evident force used back in the Leaf back then, right?
Yeah.
And him being nice to Naruto, I mean, he must have had at least some kind of relationship with Minato. If at the very least he was probably on his team to feed his son, not charge him for ramen how many times. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember in the OG series when he was it was raining and he was hungry and he was closing down the shop and he was like, "What's wrong, Naruto?" And he just like, "I just had a bad day." Like, "Do you want ramen?" Like, "I don't have any money, old man."
Oh.
And then he was like, "It's on me." I was like, "Dang."
Yeah, the actual perfect person to have taken care of Naruto, because let's be honest, the third Hokage, possibly the scummiest man ever, right there on their deathbed, take care of Naruto for me, proceeds to put him in the motel of Konoha with nothing but cup noodles, spoiled milk. I mean, people are like, "Oh, Naruto had spoiled milk." Well, there wasn't any other milk in his fridge. It's not like he was constantly getting stocked on milk. You have to feel really bad for him. And the fact that we only get one episode that someone makes him seem decent, which is later on. It's a filler episode in Shippuden where he goes fishing with Naruto. But does that really make up for 364 other days of the years where he just completely neglects him?
Because we can assume that he has a lot of money. He just refuses to use it on Naruto. Now, question for you. If he's that powerful, because we're assuming that he should be around the same level, maybe not as Kakashi, right? But at least of Sasuke's mom, which, we can assume that she was pretty strong just based on her heritage. Why would he be running a ramen shop?
I think you have to understand, pretty much everyone during this time frame was in a state of war. It could very well just be he went through the same experiences as Kakashi, where he just witnessed countless deaths, but he just couldn't process it or didn't want to have to deal with the stress of processing that.
Or on the other take, I mean, maybe he was active up until Minato's death, and he was just like, "I can't do this anymore."
Yeah.
And just wanted peace.
Yeah, because there's never even confirmation of Minato or Jiraiya going to the ramen shop prior to,
Naruto.
So it makes sense. I really like the theory. My only complaint with the theory is that he does seem to have aged a little bit faster than Minato would have aged, But that being said, everyone ages differently. Maybe he just didn't have a good skincare routine.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta get
Or
them
the
ice
stress,
rollers, huh?
right?
Yeah, definitely the stress. But what would be really funny about that is, what if that was actually the child of prophecy that the Toads had told?
Oh, Ichiraku.
Yeah, he was
Oh my
actually the person
gosh.
that led the world to peace by inherently being just nice to Naruto.
I'm trying to find a picture that you're talking about to see how much I can agree with this.
Just look up Minato's team.
I did. And I realized too earlier I said Kakashi rather than Minato, but we can skip over that. And looking at it now, I think I kind of agree.
It's really out there.
Yeah. Can we put like a picture up here of what this looks
Tiff,
like?
Can you do some magic?
Yeah, I think he looks pretty on point. That being said, it's not like he has a ton of distinctive features.
Yeah, which makes it even more like, if I had to look at a kid and say, you're going to run a ramen shop, like that would be the kid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but do you guys believe in this, or what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
I like it. I think I do. I
Yeah?
don't see anything that would point to it not being true.
Okay. So how about you, Chris?
I mean, I like it. It gives it at least makes me think that someone else knew that Naruto was Minato's son the whole time, and actually cared enough to watch out for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's true, because I'm gonna do a little hot take. Jiraiya and the third Hokage both knew who he was and still left him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like that.
Yeah.
I don't know about Jiraiya, but at least the third
He was
Hokage.
the godson.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
He was Jiraiya's godson.
Yeah.
Which we don't know why he left. Some missions that he was on.
I'll give Jiraiya a pass on that. He could have believed that the third Hokage, the
Right.
most powerful man in this
Was gonna watch out for him.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. And, he was surprised just as all of us were when we found out that he always knew, but he never helped out Naruto. Not to any extensive extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'll say is, maybe we will find out, because aren't we actually going to get Minato like spinoff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a Naruto spinoff, and apparently Jiraiya's coming back in Boruto.
Oh, doesn't he
No.
always?
Is he going to actually come back, or are they trying to pass off
That one
like
clone.
Koji or
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they can go back in time now, right? That's how they found all the dinosaurs.
Oh, no. That was
They brought those back to life.
yeah.
Oh, God.
It's
Different.
just Jurassic World.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that one's my first tinfoil topic. Jess, I'm gonna send it over to you.
Okay, so mine pertains to My Hero Academia and Deku's powerlessness. Because in this world, most people have quirks, powerful or not. Just like his mom can slightly levitate things, right, or pull things toward her. Now, in the story, both his mom and his dad have quirks. And it's very rare in which a child of two quirked parents would not have a quirk. In fact, most of the times you'll get people with multiple quirks, which is what we saw a couple seasons ago with all those children that have really powerful quirks to the point where their bodies can't really handle it. Now, there's a scene where Deku is getting the news that he does not have a quirk. And if you really look at it closely, you'll see that the doctor telling him this is the same doctor that's always been working for All for One. The one that's, been stealing and giving away quirks under the name of research. So the theory is that Deku actually originally did have a quirk. It was just taken away from him by this doctor. Because, again, same doctor, same powers.
Yeah, I actually like that theory. Now, the hard part is we've been told that his fire quirk was on the weaker side. So maybe that's not the case. But at the same time, my least favorite thing about My Hero is the power scaling system, we don't really know what makes someone have a strong quirk versus not a strong quirk, because in some cases we see that, you know, your quirk is like a muscle, gets stronger the more you work it out. But then in other cases, we're told like, oh, this person, like Deku's mom, has a weak floating quirk, and it's like, but how much of that was just because she never really tried to do more, or is it, have they just capped some people and not capped other people?
Yeah, and it does seem like there's no definitive answer in terms of, okay, if there is a cap, who can tell, right?
Yeah.
Like, who was the one that looked at Deku's mom and was like, you'll never get more powerful, versus some of the other characters, right? Like grape juice and like, you know, theoretically you would look at grape juice and be like, you can only produce so many of those sticky balls at a time, right? That sounded weird. You can only produce so many, and thus that's a cap. But we see that's not the case. He can produce a ton now after a lot of practice. Now, who's to say what that cap was for either of those people?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it has more to do with like adaptation to the human body when it comes to how quirks develop, right? Because like if you look at Bakugo, his sweat is nitroglycerin, right, which is an explosive agent. So the more he sweats, the more he can explode, right? The issue, just like any of us, if he doesn't have enough water, he's not hydrated enough, he's not going to sweat enough, he becomes pretty much useless, right? Same thing with, which is why Endeavor wanted the perfect, quote unquote, perfect son and or daughter, right? For the hot and cold. So he can go endlessly.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, when it comes to
limitations,
I don't really know. Like, how do you work out a float quirk?
Yeah, you just
You
have
just
to
keep
gradually
floating
lift
things?
heavier stuff.
more, yeah. Like heavier stuff, more longer.
Because Uraraka, have you ever seen her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean, she really hasn't, because she lifted parts of like Robots episode 1.
Yep.
Or episode 2, whatever that was.
A ton of rubble during the
Bakugo fight.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she really, I don't know. I don't think she's ever had like a massive.
I think she was
guess-
busted from the beginning.
Yeah. She always had a lot of potential with her quirk, like a lot of powerfulness there, but she just didn't know how to utilize it to the best. So I think that's more of her power up. She had a mental power up, a strategic power up.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But
So-
what quirk do you think he would have had then?
I think he would have had both. I mean, a lot of, again, that's like
You
the
float
whole.
your fire.
Yeah, no, I mean, as two separate things. Like I said, like the biggest issue that is kind of in the background of this whole series is the fact that kids are getting quirks that are way too powerful for their bodies, and they're not able to handle it, and it's causing a lot of issues, right? That's, if you remember that episode where they get the kids to come in and, you know, experiment with fighting, they are way overpowered in terms of just quirk potential. And so there is a high chance that they could have been one of those people where he just has multiple quirks.
Yeah, my like curiosity with the whole Deku not having a quirk and the doctor coming over is, I 100% agree. It looks exactly like the same doctor. Now, the weird thing is, why did he come over in the first place? I feel like the age at which they like show that young Deku, I feel is like too young to where someone could have even developed a quirk slightly later, right? Like he looked like he was like 4 or 5 years old max, you know? So it's one of those things like what made him feel that he didn't have a quirk yet? Because he couldn't float something, or because he couldn't breathe fire? But like maybe he just didn't know how to do it yet.
I don't think he originally went saying, oh, I don't feel like I have a quirk. It probably was a regular checkup in which the doctor, after stealing his quirk, said, oh man, you don't have a quirk.
Well, because I know some people that have talked about this theory that they say that it was taken from birth. Like his quirk was taken away
I guess
from
there's
birth.
a chance that, because a lot of people have family doctors, a doctor that they see every single year, right? And they don't really change doctors. So it could have, might as well been that, where that might be the only time we see that doctor interacting with Deku. But realistically, this mom has been taking Deku to that doctor for years and years.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right. Does it have your buy-in?
It has my buy-in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It has my buy-in, and I'm really hoping I get to see a fire breathing quirk. I hate that they talked about a fire breathing quirk, and I still haven't seen it.
You
Like,
think it would be that cool?
yeah, it would be
It
cool.
breathes fire. How
Like-
how would that
Yeah.
not be cool?
Yeah, that's like
Endeavor
saying like
gets to
Natsu's
have-
not cool.
Endeavor gets to have fire coming from literally every part of his body. I feel
But
like
not his mouth.
Yeah, that's like
I feel like that's just a matter of because he hasn't wanted to. Because why would you necessarily want
Or
that?
maybe he can't.
yeah. Because let's put it this way: would you rather be able to go Human Torch, you know, like Endeavor, or would you rather be like Natsu and just like dragon breath everything?
But only dragon breath. He like Natsu can also do dragon punch or dragon whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, but you're saying only dragon breath. That's your
Yeah.
only thing. I would much rather be like Endeavor because imagine if someone has you tied up and facing a wall. What are you gonna do? You
Breathe
can't
fire. Yeah.
At the wall?
Just do one of these.
Yeah. Or no, I've heard of backflash. If you quickly heat it, so if you're facing a wall and you heat up an area enough, you can actually cause a vacuum where no one else can breathe, so they'll pass out, and you'll be fine.
But what if you're outside?
But then you wouldn't be facing a wall.
There's no walls outside. Yeah.
Breathe hotter air or breathe hotter fire.
Yeah.
You gotta suck the air out of the whole world.
No, just of that facility, you only need like what 2 feet, because you're not going to be able to breathe past that.
But that implies that the person that has you captive is within 2 feet of you. And now that I know that, I'm not going to be within 2 feet of that
Well,
person.
a lot of people don't know that though.
Well, they need to do their research.
I know Endeavor would probably be stronger, but I would rather have the breathing fire
Right.
ability.
Well,
What? It makes no sense.
and not to mention we don't know why, or like I don't know if it was ever explained why Endeavor's or how Endeavor's fire works. Because what if you're just breathing fire because you're literally just lighting the nitrogen and oxygen in the air,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but like you're doing it from your lungs, which is why you're able to breathe fire.
Yeah. No, I think that Endeavor could do it if he wanted to. But I think it's just a matter of he doesn't want to because that's not the best use. Like, he can deliver a stronger blow.
If he's captured from an enemy facing him, if he,
Yeah,
Done.
like, or how
But he
about all
can
those?
just burn off whatever's holding him.
what if he can't? Like, what if he was held by like, some lava stone?
Yeah, what if he was
Yeah.
like a lava stone?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. You got me there. You got me there, man.
Case closed. Breathing fire is better than being a Human Torch.
God. All right, Chris. What's your perfect tinfoil topic? Because obviously you weren't happy with mine.
No, well, I'm gonna kind of leap off of yours with Deku. It's more of the fact that who is Deku's father, right? 'Cause we're told, right, that he can breathe light fire, right? But we've never met him. There's no descriptions of him. There's no photos of him. There's nothing of his father, right? What if All For One was Deku's dad? It would make sense of why he would want Deku so bad, like Deku's body so bad, right? Because what works better than, because he's essentially trying to shift his consciousness into somebody, right? What would work better than your own genetics?
So you're implying that All Might knows that Deku is his son.
He doesn't, because remember, so before All For One and All Might fought, right? We don't know how long All For One's been All For One. So what if he had like a transfigure like quirk that changed his face? So when he was with his mom, he looked different, and when he was All For One, he looked different. And then right now, no one knows what he looks like because All Might bashed his face in,
Yeah.
right? And the only thing that's keeping him alive is whatever that life support thing is.
Sorry, are you saying that All For One is his dad, or are you saying All Might is his
All
dad?
For One.
Oh, shoot. What?
Yeah.
So, like, he pretended to be the dad, got with the mom. Man, that's insane.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, what would be the point of choosing
Be-
Deku's mom, but then to not move forward with, like, keeping a close eye and try? I guess
Maybe
see the doctor.
he's had a close
Yeah.
eye because of the doctor.
But there was no guarantee that All Might would have chosen Deku.
I don't think he cared whether or not he chose Deku. I think Chris is trying to say it's more of like he just wants him for his body because he needs a new body in order
Oh.
to.
And the fact that he got all or One For All isn't huge bonus.
And what is the point of having raised Shigaraki then?
Back up.
Okay.
Well, I guess the question that I have is, why would he have needed a new body, I guess, from Deku if his body was fine during the time that...
Well, no, because his body was breaking down already, which is one of the reasons why we all know that Deku is the last holder, right? Because our bodies can only handle so many quirks before they start breaking down.
Yeah. And he has like 1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that one's a hard one. I see the potential in it, but so much of me would hate for him to be Deku's dad.
So where's the proof? Like, where is the, like, why would you even say that that's his dad? Like, what have you seen that makes you think that could not just be possible, but is likely?
Because All For One's never tried killing Deku.
I mean, All For One's never tried killing Bakugo specifically.
But he's never had any interest in Bakugo.
He's never had any interest in Deku until Deku got all the powers of All Might.
When he realized, he didn't know that it was Deku first, but Shigaraki's always been obsessed with Deku, and we don't know why. That's why with the whole JSA thing.
So you're implying that Shigaraki also knows?
No, he doesn't know. I think All For One just ordered him to get him.
Oh.
From season 1.
I was more under the impression that Shigaraki didn't like Deku because Deku sort of like foiled his plans at different points.
Well, yeah, he made him a fool in front of All For One.
Yeah.
Yeah, but All For One is the one that wanted him to get Deku.
Okay. I think this is a hard one. I think this is one where it wouldn't surprise me if they came out with it, but I personally would hate if that was true.
And I feel like the whole fact that we've never seen his dad plays no real part in this theory.
Well, no, it does. It's essentially just because like the reason why we haven't seen his dad and the reason why they say that he's away is because they don't want to say that it's actually All For One. So
are you also implying that the dad character never existed, that All For One has multiple times changed his appearance to look a certain way to get with the mom, but all throughout dating and then from the very beginning?
Yes.
But what's the point of the mom saying like, oh, he's overseas or something? Why can't she just be
maybe that's what he told her before he changed back.
Yeah.
And she just says never heard from him since All For One got arrested?
Well, we've also never seen him. We never heard another word mentioned about him.
Or even a picture.
That's fair. Nothing.
Why wouldn't they have pictures? Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if he did just go ahead and break it off with the mom and say that he was going away to America so she didn't feel bad, that's a really nice thing of him to do.
Yeah, very sweet.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's also weird that he wouldn't have taken Deku with him to raise him to be evil, kind of like how he raised Shigaraki.
Well, he doesn't really care either way. He just wants his body, which right now we're seeing Shigaraki's consciousness getting taken over. Mm-hmm. So we don't really know.
Are you team All For One or team Shigaraki in the battle of consciousness?
Shigaraki.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Shigaraki.
I mean,
100%.
they're both evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't.
One's an imposed evil because let's be honest, All Might's predecessor was a terrible grandma.
Yeah.
A horrible person. She
what's
just.
Her name?
I always forget her name.
Something with an N, right?
Yeah, I think so. Did you guys actually hear the theory that? Sorry, to just kind of go off topic, but that Deku's mom is either a cousin or something of that predecessor. If you actually look at them side by side, they look somewhat similar.
Is that why they have because they both have dark hair? Right?
Yeah, and they also she has a float quirk. She also had a float quirk, except it's
interesting.
Yeah.
So that one's an interesting one. I think it's I don't know if even if it is true, they would ever say it just because it's not really that pertinent to the story.
Or maybe it is.
Yeah, I'm oh, Deku and Shigaraki are cousins. which would be like so lame.
Yeah, that would be so lame. The power of cousins overcomes all.
Family.
Or maybe that would make Shigaraki more upset and want to go kill Deku's mom.
Because he's upset that he was the only one that didn't get a happy childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could understand that, but I think Shigaraki's still evil. I mean, he's killed countless people, devastated homes, buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But are all revolutions peaceful?
I don't even know how to respond to that one.
Sorry, what revolution are you talking about?
Obviously, he's fighting it back against the hero society.
No.
You know?
I mean,
the falsified peace.
Stain was, and I guess still is, a bad guy. But honestly, he at least has more redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the last time we saw Stain in the anime where he helped out All Might, I was like, what a sweetie. And then I had to remember, like, no, he's killed a lot of good people. A lot of bad people, too. But still, killing is, we don't do that just out in these streets.
Yeah.
Without.
We don't? I'm sorry. Just kidding.
Anyways.
In terms of buy-in on that one, I'm going to have to hit you with a maybe.
With a maybe?
With a maybe.
I'm saying the plausibility is normal, but my desire for it is low, so I'm giving it a not.
Okay.
Fair enough.
A not buy-in personally. That's just a personal one. All right, so onto my last tinfoil topic here. This one is actually a pretty interesting one. Not sure if you guys really have watched too much Black Clover, but Captain Yami, who is the captain of the Black Bulls in Clover, the whole concept is that he's actually an isekai hero from Japan, or not even necessarily a hero, but he's just isekai'd into becoming a hero from Japan. Now, here's the whole reason for it. There's 4 kingdoms in the Clover Kingdom, and what we know of is he's not from any of them. He's actually from a place called the land of like sun, and Japan is the land of the rising sun, where that's like one way to kind of look at Japan. So there's that going for it. There's also the fact that he actually washed up on shore in this kingdom from a fishing village that has nothing similar to anything that we see in the Clover Kingdom. So there's that. The fact that he is the only one that looks very different. I would say he even has somewhat distinctive Japanese features compared to like the rest of the Black Clover cast. Mm-hmm. The fact that his main thing is he uses the katana, right? So everything kind of leads to the idea that there's a potential that he may be isekai. And I think what might be interesting about that is his affinity is also for dark magic to the point where he could even split dimensions.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
So not sure if, that might play into it, but I actually do like to think that there might be a possibility where Black Clover is just an isekai.
But the isekai character is not even the main character?
I mean,
it would be an interesting take. I would say he's a very prevalent character.
Yeah, he's not like, he's like one of the main side characters, I guess you could say. But he's also like the best captain.
Yeah, I was going to say. Black Clover is really weird, though, in that the main character, I guess, would be Asta.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel there's always arcs where the main character of that arc is always changing. Right? Yeah,
like especially with like Noel, Luck.
Yep.
I always forget the
Even
guy.
Finral.
The Fireball guy.
Fireball.
Yeah, baseball.
Oh yeah.
I always forget his name.
I forget his name too.
Yeah.
Finral had a little bit of stuff too.
Also, side note, that fight with his brother was
nuts.
Was nuts, disturbing,
the
and
ending.
Oh yeah, I know, it was great.
Okay, I have a lot of questions about this. About this theory.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with: have they ever found this fishing village? Like, has anyone ever been there besides him?
They just assume that it's overseas where they haven't traveled yet.
Yeah, because do we even see any ships in Black Clover?
We don't.
Yeah, I know.
But I would assume there has to be some mode of transportation across the water.
But we haven't seen any because everyone just flies.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, everyone has some. whether it's a broom, flying motorcycle, whatever, they all have different things.
Can everyone fly in this anime? Like,
Except for
like,
Asta.
Oh, yeah, I mean, of course, because he
Yeah.
doesn't have anything. But
He has anti-magic.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Some people have even said that there are some references that Yami says or like makes in the show as well that also leads to people speculating. It's not as much of a fourth wall break as it is the fact that he was isekai, so he just knows some of these things.
Well, yeah, like what was it when they were in the middle of the ocean, and then one in the dungeon, and he was like, "I'm gonna break my limit right now," right?
Yeah,
That it was such a knock on isekai.
Yeah,
Like I'm just forcibly break my limit and split dimensions.
and he did
Done.
it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you're implying that because he can split dimensions, it's probably because he came from a different dimension?
Well, I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm saying it. You know, that might lead into it, or why that might be why that specific grimoire chose him, because we know that he was given the grimoire, right? So usually your grimoire is also based off of being that it chooses its user. It might have something to do with that.
Well, and then what was it? Because he was also rated as an arcane level wizard, right?
Yeah.
Which arcane, unless you're like Asta, really doesn't happen, or like a demon. So he, as far as we know, I think he's like the only straight up human that actually is rated as an arcane.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even though we might not see Black Clover from his perspective of him being the main character, if you actually look at his journey and his life, he very well has lived a life and will continue to live a life of being someone that is prominent, right? Where, you know, he came to this country, everyone pretty much hated him because he was different. He had to go up against a bunch of adversity, very similar to Shield Hero to an extent. He uses magic and he uses his sword in ways that other wizards don't use their things. And if we actually look at his rise to the top, it was unlikely for him to actually become a captain. But because he found his like one isekai, I guess like blessing in that Julian actually looked over him as his like mentor. And really it's between him and then I always forget the other captain, but
Forget.
yeah, he's a leader of like Asta's brothers group.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's pretty much going to be guaranteed that one of them two will be the successor to Captain or to King Julian. So he really does have like a main character as story. It's just they're not focusing on it.
And is there any other things other than like the break my limit situation in which he referred to things that maybe other people don't know of in this world?
I mean, his sword fighting alone is different than anybody else's.
Interesting.
Because he fights with a what's that sword fighting style that the samurai use? Starts with a K.
Oh, kendo?
Yeah, kendo. Yeah. He actually uses kendo.
Well, every other sword, like there's like pretty much the only sword that's a katana.
Yeah.
Every other sword is just like a medieval century sword in this anime.
Interesting.
They're all like broadswords.
Yeah, or broadswords,
Yeah.
All right. In that case, you have it.
Yeah.
You have my buy-in.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like the theory.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope it's true because that would actually be a first isekai take that's interesting that I like in a long time. Other than maybe was Evidence and Shadows.
Yeah. I will say, I think because we had this big isekai boom, we're in the phase where we actually have a boom of isekais that are making fun of isekais. Because there's Eminence in Shadow, but there was one I watched recently where I was like, is this just a play on isekais and making fun of it? It's a current simulcast that came out this
I think I know what you're talking about. Serving a god in a godless world.
Yes, like everything is so fast paced. They follow every trope of an isekai to the T, where it almost feels satirical. Like it almost feels like Eminence in Shadow, except not as well executed, in which they're making fun of isekais. And I feel like there might actually be more than those two that are going to come out. And now I'm kind of tired of the whole trope of making fun of isekais too.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not.
well, and like there's already the other one. Was I got a cheat skill in another world and become unrivaled in mine,
That's right.
Yes.
or however it's a long title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I mean, it's a different take on isekai. It's not necessarily bad, but
Mhm.
it's different.
It's
you
a
know?
different take, which is nice, but I wouldn't call it a satirical piece on isekais like Eminence in Shadow and Serving a God in a Godless World,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
they're purposely trying to make fun of it, I hope, on the second one, because if not, it's just a bad
No,
isekai.
no, they for sure are, because
Okay.
he even like references the fact that pretty much he goes into this town and they give him a dagger.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yes, this is the perfect beginner weapon for someone starting an isekai." And then he's just cutting grapes off of a tree.
Yeah.
So the fact that like he's doing that or just doing farm work, it's so remedial for someone that has been isekai'd. It makes you. The whole show is essentially, oh, the isekai's about to start. No, it's not.
Yeah. And I will say, if there was not Eminence in Shadow, I actually think I would have liked it. But Eminence in Shadow does what this anime aims to do, but a million times better.
Yeah.
And so I can't help but compare it, because the goal of each anime, of those two animes, are the same. It's just that one did it so much better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Black Clover made this true, and Captain Yami was like actually a isekai hero,
Mm-hmm.
that would top.
I would watch it.
That would top it for me. That'd be like,
Yeah.
all right, my favorite isekai.
If they came out and said, like, for sure he was isekai, I would actually go back and start Black Clover again.
Yeah, well, it's because like Black Clover for me right now, it's probably one of the most underrated animes that people
Really?
haven't like
Mhm.
act because a lot of people gripe on the fact that Asa, I think in the first like 6 episodes did a lot of screaming,
So much.
and a lot of
Yeah.
that too is because the main voice actor, right, it was like his first big job, so he tried to like oversell it, the over intensity of it, and like, and he did, but too much of it.
Yeah.
He tones it down though.
He does.
too.
He tones
Does
it down a
he?
lot.
Yeah.
And like it got really, really, really good. It was finally able to stand on its own, because I know a lot of people just say, "Oh, it's just a mixture of Naruto and
Yeah.
Fairy Tail combined."
No, yeah. I would say it gets really, really good. And the characters of the Black Bulls are like, there's not a single person I don't like. There's not a single person that doesn't. At first, you're wondering, like, how is this person even part of the Black Bulls? Like, it seems like everyone he picks up is a misfit in some way, but they're all super powerful. And then you see some people and you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense how they really fit this group. And then they do. So
Yeah,
it's-
everyone's well
yeah.
written,
Mhm.
right? They all are misfits, right?
Yeah.
That's why Yami chooses him, because he was an outcast,
Exactly.
so he
So
was
it's
like,
really
I'm gonna give
sweet.
the outcast
Yeah.
a chance.
Okay. Yeah, I will say I'm one of those people that you're talking about, in which I only watched, I think, the first half of the season. And I literally said, like, I can't enjoy this anime because of all the screaming. Like, it was actually grinding on my soul, having to hear Asta screaming
Yeah.
all the time, to the point where I said, I don't even care how good this story is. I don't think I could watch it.
That's probably the only time I'll tell people to watch it dubbed for the first like 10 episodes. And
We're
then
called subcultured,
Yeah.
not dub cultured.
I'm just saying, it's like the only exception. Okay, there's like 10 episodes, and after that, you could switch back.
Oh, okay. I might
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah, but it gets a lot better.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So does this have your buy-in?
I want it, so yes.
Okay.
All right, Jez, what's your next one?
Okay. Here is a very basic one, but I'll also explain to you why I like it better than other ones, which is about Ash Ketchum in Pokemon. I know people don't know about this underrated anime. And it's about him and his journey and the fact that he stays so young. And it's exactly what you think it is. It's that he's been in a coma all this time from that one blast he got from electricity all the way back in
Episode
the very
1.
in
Yeah.
episode 1. And there's a lot of good reasons why this actually holds up. So one, I'm not going to gripe on this too much, is the fact that he never ages.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might argue with me that, oh, well, time moves by slower there, or it's like a Bob's Burgers in which people just don't age. It's just that kind of sitcom, which maybe, right? The second one is the fact that all of the police and nurses are exactly the same. Joy and what was the other one?
Officer Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah. They're
Never forget.
all the same. And you might say like, oh, the actual lore is that they're all twins, all.
Yeah, I believe they're all supposed to be
Hundreds
cousins,
of twins.
Right? Yeah, they're cousins.
like cousins and sisters.
Hundreds of identical cousins and sisters that look exactly the same or exactly the same age. I don't think so. That this theory pretty much says that when he was alive in his, not alive, but awake in his town, those were the nurses and the police. And because your brain has a hard time coming up with new faces, that's why he imagines that all of them are the same in that way. The third one is he sees every single legendary Pokemon. That is so rare. And for him to be like 10 or 12 and to have seen every single legendary Pokemon, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
In addition to that, there is a scene in the first season where he does see Ho-Oh. And if you know the lore of that, it's basically a legendary Pokemon, which if you see it, it will grant you any wish. So some people say that's actually the right theory, that he wished that he could continue this journey forever, but that Ho-Oh granted his wish in a way where pretty much he never ages. I'm going to say no on that because he actually sees another Ho-Oh on the second generation, and the writers forgot that he already saw it in the first one. And so he was like, what? Never seen this Pokemon before. Yeah, big plot hole. So I'm going to say no on that.
Oh, I don't remember that. Damn.
Yeah, and a lot of the times when you're making a wish, let's say there's a shooting star or you're blowing out the candles on a birthday cake, you have to be actively wishing. You can't just like deep inside your heart want it, right? Like you need to be actively wishing. And if you remember when he sees the Ho-Oh, this is like right after like probably the hardest time in his life of being attacked by all those Spearows and stuff and like, you know, Team Rocket and whatnot. Like he does not want for this journey to go on forever. I would hope deep in his heart at that moment in time specifically. Which brings me to my final argument on why this is true. And it's that in the first episode, Pokemon can die. And you know how you know that? Because he is so freaking worried about Pikachu when the Spearows are attacking, and he's so concerned, right? It really gives you a sense of like fear. Like it's really dangerous to be out there by yourself. You know, the concept of you can be unalived by Pokemon is very, very real, and it has you on the edge of your seat in episode 1. You never get that again. Pokemon will never kill you. It's all comedic, right? They zap you, you're like, you know, and then like, you know, but you're fine. Same thing with Pokemon fighting. They attack each other with the utmost violence, and they're completely fine. And let's be honest, like, Team Rocket is pretty comedic. And let's think about how high they get launched most of the time. That's death right there. I'm sorry. Like, they are not making it. But that's never an issue for them, right? They always survive. And why is that when literally in the first episode, a bunch of Spearows had us on the edge of the seat. Like, are they going to be okay? It's because he's in the coma, and in his fantasy world during this coma, you know, we don't really have the sense. He doesn't want to feel that, and so he doesn't. And I know this is my own take on it because I know the series has ended recently, which has people thinking, well, how could this be true? How could his journey have ended if he was in a coma, right? And there's two things I'll say.
Someone
One,
pulled the plug.
that's literally what I was
It was
gonna say.
unalived.
Yeah. Someone pulled the plug, and so that was his way of wrapping up his own story, right? Or two, maybe he still is in a coma and it's continuing, but we just don't get to see any more of it. Now, what will happen after he won all that, I don't know, but you know, there's a good chance that it's actually the first, and that's the theory I'm going with. In that someone pulled the plug, and so he needed to wrap up his own story.
That's a sad take.
Yeah.
But I mean, doesn't it make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense. Partially because not only would, if you got electrified by Pikachu to be it was like 1,000 watts or whatever going straight to the dome.
It was more because that Pikachu specifically was capable of higher electrical currents than other Pikachus.
Yeah, so definitely enough to send you into a coma. And I think it was raining too, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, so it would, I mean, I don't know, not to mention, because if you actually did the math, right, I think it was like when he got back to Pallet Town in season 1, he said, it's been a whole year since I've been home. So from 10 to 11, right? And then if you take a journey, like I don't know, someone did some math about all the different seasons, how old Ash would have been. He should have been between the ages of 16 to 17 years old by the time the season, like where it officially ended.
Yeah.
Right. And he still stayed the exact same year or same age, but actually regressed technically, went back down to 10.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden his Pikachu will lose all of its abilities that it learned from the previous season. And then all of a sudden, like, well, back to level 1. Pikachu should be like one-shotting everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the idea behind that one is because when he fell into the coma, he was at a very low level. And so he has a hard time imagining what a high-level fight would be like. And that's why every season it kind of resets in that he gives his powerful Pokemon to Professor Oak or whoever, right? Or maybe they go out and join a biker gang or something like that because he needs his Pokemon to reset and not be as powerful because he can't imagine what they could do if they got more powerful.
I don't know if that's true on that last part. And I also don't know if it's true on the part of, well, you know, we don't have this fear of anyone dying or being killed by Pokemon in the future. Because if you guys have ever seen Pokemon 2000,
Yeah.
let me tell you, there is immense fear of both Pokemon killing Pokemon. And then there was also the Mewtwo Mewtwo just straight up, like, pretty much Medusa's people.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of points where we do see a lot of danger in Pokemon. Now, I think a big reason why they're not going to go ahead and show, like, any death or killing off anyone is just because it's a kids show, right? But at the end of the day, I do think we do see that, yeah, people are being killed and that there is, you know, also Pokemon being killed. One, we don't see any older people, which is like the whole thing that there was a Kanto War, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that we don't have any middle-aged people is from a fact that someone was unalived. Now, there are some things that don't make sense. I think we have to kind of take into it like the old like cartoon, like Roadrunner gets, you know, the coyote gets hit by a falling anvil but doesn't die situation. I think I do like the theory, but I think like there are some parts where I understand why they're not going to show someone dying. I mean, even in the future, we still see fear for, what was it, Charmander, right? Charmander, if his tail goes out and it was during the rain, right? That, you know, he actually would have died. And we also know that there's food in Pokemon. We just don't see where they get the food from. It's not vegan. Not everyone's just there planting. So we know that there's something. But I do like the overall theory. I think it explains why he doesn't age, which has always been my biggest gripe with.
Oh, why he's never
Pokemon.
Won up until recently.
Yeah. What a terrible coma to never win a title.
Well, a lot of it is too because if he would have won, that was his big dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what is there for him after that?
Yeah. You know, so like, that's also why I think there's at least some weight into it, especially because like you just brought up the war, right?
Yeah.
If Team Rocket was supposed to be this big like underground Black Ops style of like a military force, you really think they can't handle a 10-year-old kid?
Yeah, and that 10-year-old kid is not really trying that hard, if we're being honest. Like, he just, like, goes, Pikachu, zap him, and then they just go blasting off into space. Like, it's that simple for him.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I can appreciate about Pokemon, just, like, kind of off topic, is it's, like, one of the only animes where the dub is like, how I watch it primarily, so I can't really watch anything but the dub.
Yeah.
Right. So
well, that's because you grew up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
I
it's
also
hard.
think they did a better job than like some of the other dubs. I think the dub got worse as the seasons went on.
I don't think I watched past.
Did you watch him in the Alola region?
No.
The dubbing is not.
I didn't watch past
good.
Orange Islands.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I've actually never seen an episode of Pokemon subbed. I
Oh,
wouldn't
really?
even know what to compare it to, yeah.
It's interesting because it goes from an adventure, like, very cute thing, but, like, the voices make it to where, like, oh, these are some battles now.
Well, yeah, dude, have you read the Pokemon manga?
No.
There's a manga?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Like Red,
Interesting.
who Ash is supposed to be, is ruthless.
Interesting.
Yeah, I almost wish they did a series on that specifically.
Interesting. Okay.
Because they could actually like you see them die
Really?
or unalive. Sorry.
The Pokemon or
Yeah.
people?
What did he say?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you
Okay.
see people duke it out. It's great.
Wow.
Interesting.
You know, just to come back to the Medusa thing,
Yeah.
like what kind of crazy pick me hero mentality is it? Like, oh, when they said the world would turn to ash, they were talking about you, Ash. And then the tears of Pokemon brought him back to life. I'm sorry.
those are
that's-
two different movies. Those are two different movies.
Yeah.
You're mixing two of them up.
Okay, well, sorry. Well, either way, both of those situations, I just gotta say, both of those situations could only be thought up by a 10-year-old who really, really wants to be the main character of his own story, because there is no way, no reality in which they would actually be like, oh, they meant to you, Ash. Like, no matter how stupid these Pokemon are, because they are technically just animals,
Yeah.
there's no way that anyone could ever say that.
First of all, Slowking is wise.
Ah.
Second of all, that's not the part I'm like, this person is thinking only about himself. The one where I think like, oh, he's for sure in a coma. What was it? Pokemon Forever, where Pikachu.
Is that with Entei?
I'm not sure. No, that's not the one where Entei is like someone's stepdad.
That was so weird.
That's not where
Yeah.
Entei
And
gets
yet my
isekai into
favorite-
Oh
someone's
no, that's the
stepdad.
one with Celebi, right?
I don't know. No, it's the recent one. Maybe it's not Pokemon Forever. It's the recent one I'm thinking of where Ash tells like Pikachu like, why won't you go inside your why won't you go inside your Pokeball?
Oh
and
yeah.
Pikachu utters his first and final words ever, which is like, "'Cause I always wanted to be with you," which is like, who does that?
Yeah.
Like he's never spoken before.
Yeah, it took me right out of the moment.
Yep.
It took everyone out of the
I
moment.
was like,
I think
what?
everyone booed in
I
like
think
theaters.
that's when his coma hit its peak.
Yeah.
Can we get
Yeah.
a timeline, or if that was right in the middle of his journey to the end?
They injected him with morphine or something when he was
Yeah,
during
he
that
was
movie.
on something. His mom came in
Yeah.
and was like, "You need a break," and just like stuffed an edible in his mouth or
Oh,
something.
oh gosh. But then how would he chew?
Liquid edible.
Okay,
Sorry.
there we go.
It just dropped
Cho-
like a couple
you know-
drops in his mouth.
She was like, me and Professor Oak need some alone time for a bit.
Oh no.
All right. Does that one have your buy-in, or give me your honest opinion?
I think it has my buy-in for sure. I think there are some parts that are like hard to explain, but like that's like any anime is gonna have a plot hole.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would think I would like for it to be that he's in a coma as sad as it is, just because it irks me that he hasn't aged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing. It irks me that he hasn't aged.
Yeah, and that he hasn't unalived after all the damage. That Team Rocket hasn't unalived
Yeah.
yet. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been blasted off how
Too,
many times?
I know, too many times.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Chris. What's your final tinfoil topic?
Well, you guys seen Death Note.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think,
The live action.
yeah.
Yeah,
No.
stop.
Oh, man.
No. I'm messing around.
So I think L was the real winner of the battle of wits between L and Light.
Okay.
Strictly because L knew the only way for him to prove that Light Yagami was actually Kira
Mm-hmm.
was for him to write his name down, right? So he left a series of clues behind for, what was it, M and M, right? Is that the people that took over after him?
Near.
Yeah, but they were known as M and N, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Near and something.
I don't know.
forget,
That
whatever.
one died.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, so he left a series of clues behind to help them prove it, right?
Okay.
Because I forget the one that died in the semi truck. He was the one that picked up on the final clue and left it behind for the one that he was jealous over.
Near. Near is the final winner.
Yeah. Well, L is the final winner.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for his breadcrumbs, and
Mhm.
he essentially knew he was gonna die. That's why he told.
Okay.
That's why he told Light, "This is my name."
Did he know he was gonna die, or did he want to die, and in order to finalize his plan?
Yeah, both.
Interesting.
Okay. I have such a hard time talking about Death Note to a serious degree just because my brain is just too small to compute how like the writer came up with something like so.
It's so good.
As a
It's
potato
so
chip
good.
scene?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. And you know that scene where they're on the roof and it's raining and he's like, I really hope that you're not, even though I know you are, because you're my only true friend. And I was like, Elle, what are you doing? This is not meant to be touching. This is not that kind of anime.
But see, I do think that was all part of his plan. He wanted to soften up. He wanted to
Oh.
soften up Light because he knew Light wouldn't just bend, right?
Yeah.
And if he made it too obvious, Light would back away.
What a big gamble
Interesting.
that Light would actually bend, though. I mean, this guy just doesn't care about anyone.
Yeah.
You know.
But he was right.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, when he used that girl.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
jeez.
What's the opposite of a tsundere?
Yandere?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she is.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
that was some baller moves right there.
Even at the end, when she was still like, for Light with the cat, I was like, are you stupid?
Yeah, like he does not like you, girl.
Yeah.
He made you cut. Well, the first time was her fault. Cut her life in half. Second time, cut her life half again.
Yep.
I'm like, so she's gonna live for like 10 more years. Cool.
Yeah. But nope.
Yeah, that was.
It's true love.
Oh,
Nothing against true
no.
love.
Don't give me that.
So-
she was okay with Light seeing other girls. Well, not really okay with it, but understood that it had to be what, to get the police off his back.
I mean, she was so delusional that she believed that he didn't really want to go. He really was just doing it for the police, which it was actually true. But as the girl, if you really believe that he loves you in that scenario, you shouldn't be okay with it. But then again, I mean, they live in a world with Shinigami and Death Notes. So who am I to say what's normal in that world,
Are you
right?
saying we don't?
Yeah.
That's pretty bold.
True, yeah.
Jess.
Maybe they watched Death Note and they were like, I'm not going to use it like this stupid guy.
Yeah, see, you never know.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Okay.
I like how you said her name. The funny part is that wouldn't even work.
No, it wouldn't work. No, but what do you guys think? Do you think L was the winner?
I'm going to give you my buy-in just because I love L. I love L so much.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the buy-in just because he's still a loser. He still died.
But
What? He is
but-
the
but he-
top tier.
But he proved that Light was Kira.
Let's
Like,
put it this
that
way.
was the battle.
He's called L for a reason.
Dang!
Oh,
That's a hot take.
I've known some people that like thirsted over Light, and to this day, I still don't get it.
Over Light?
Yeah,
Over
Light.
Light or L?
Light.
Because
He was
he's
supposed to be a handsome
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, but he's a psychopath.
Psychopaths are usually attractive to people.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a big L fan. I could never get behind Light.
I was
Yeah.
pretty behind Light.
Were you?
Yeah.
And why do you think that L is the winner after all that?
Because after rewatching it like 4 times.
The only winner,
I figured it
was
out.
the Shinigamis. Let's be honest. They just cured their boredom for like a couple years.
What-
Yeah, and they can keep rinse and repeat, right? And what are the humans
Well,
gonna do?
Did you guys read or watch the one shot for Death Note?
No.
No.
So they did a one shot where I forget his name. Ryuk gave his Death Note again to somebody, and the guy was like, "Oh, I know what this is." Because he read the rules and was like, I'm not gonna be stupid like the last guy. He put it up on the black market for auction, and people wanted to know it was real, so he killed one person at random, and was like, "All right, here you go, bid," and people were bid. Do I know who won the bid?
Who?
Trump. I'm not even playing. He won, and I forget how much he won it for. But it was like some absurd
This
amount
is
of
like
money.
canon. He like the real author wrote this.
Yeah,
And you're sure you're not on like
yeah,
Uh,
He's not a fan site.
yeah.
No. So he won because
Was the website you read this on AOV?
no, it was not. No, it was actually a one shot done, and but the thing is, the king of the Shinigamis made a rule. He's like, oh, he's not going to use it. Well, then there's another rule that he had written in there saying if you sell it, the seller will die upon completion, and the person who bought it also dies on completion.
Interesting.
Wait, when was that rule made?
Right when he put the auction in.
You can just add new rules to it
The
whenever?
Shinigami King can.
Oh, and he did it to stop the sale pretty much?
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
both died. Ryuk got his notebook back, and he was like, well, you weren't quite as entertaining as the last one.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
He should give it to Nier because, man, that would be entertainment. I'm just saying, if you're worried strictly about entertainment, give it to Nier, you know? Like, woo, how do you pick up from that?
I think Death Note's in that place where don't touch it anymore. Leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Don't take a chance at ruining. Don't Boruto it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you
Please
guys
don't.
know this, but Death Note actually has a bunch of novels, like canon novels.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought it was because I knew it had that one shot, but that was all I knew of it.
I actually own 2 of them. I'll let you borrow it if you're interested, but it goes into before. It's not an after.
Okay.
It's not an epilogue. It's about, I want to say one of them is about L's kind of exploits way before Light, like, you know, how he kind of got to where he was. And then one of them I think was about Nier. But it's been a long time. And if I'm being honest with you, I like started them and I didn't finish them because, let's be real, novels are not as compelling as manga.
Yeah.
Hot take.
If it doesn't have pictures, I'm not reading the book. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There is like 5 pictures.
There's 5 pictures. Yeah.
And the whole novel.
One-page picture every like 100 pages.
No, there's no pictures. There's just a picture in the front, which is literally just like L curled up with no context around him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sad.
Yeah. All right. So that's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe.
And write down in the comments if you disagree or agree with any of our tinfoil topics.
Yeah.
Or put in your favorite.
Ooh.
Ooh. All right. Have a good one. Bye.